Hello, my name is Justin Bailey. I will be speaking to you today regarding the differences between monotasking and multitasking, what both of those are, and why we should be using monotasking and what the benefits are rather than multitasking, especially as students going to school. I want you to imagine real quick you have an orange or a tennis ball, something like that, in your hand, and you're just tossing it up and down to yourself. A pretty easy action. Now, I want you to imagine yourself holding two different tennis balls or two different oranges. It becomes a little bit harder to toss those up and down and juggle those, but most people can still do it. You have to give a little bit more attention and concentrate a little bit more, but most people can still do that. Now, if you were to add three oranges or three tennis balls in there, it becomes much more difficult. I know myself, I can't juggle. If I were to have three tennis balls right now and I was juggling them, I would not be able to do it. And the reason being is because you have to concentrate that much more on each individual ball, and you have to have the hand-eye coordination to get those through. It's not something that a lot of people can do. And I say that to say that once we begin to try to concentrate on more than one thing at a time, it becomes harder to do those things effectively. So that's essentially the definition of multitasking, is attempting to do one task, more than one task at the same time. I know as students, we tend to run into that a lot. I know with myself, before when I went to school, I used to cook dinner, I used to watch TV, I used to text on the phone and try to do homework at the same time. And I ended up putting myself into a position to where I was not doing very well in school. I did fail a couple classes, and I actually took a lot of time off, 6 years to be exact. I'm 28 years old now. I'm doing much better in school, and that is because I'm learning to actually apply myself to just one task at a time, complete that, get it out of the way, move on to the next one. That's the definition of monotasking, is essentially working one task at a time to completion. Monotasking has actually shown to allow students to produce better quality work while reducing the amount of stress and anxiety that comes along with the busy school schedule. So what I'm going to go ahead and be speaking about is the need for us to monotask and how multitasking can not only affect our schoolwork but also affect our health. I'm going to explain a little bit more about how you can monotask and what the benefits are. Excuse me. And I'm going to go ahead and show some statistics regarding how monotasking has been shown to be much more effective than multitasking. There's actually a psychologist named Renee Moreau. She works at the Vanderbilt University. She used what's called functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, which is just scans of your brain. And she actually found evidence that multitasking can lead to what's called response selection bottlenecking, which means that the brain is forced to respond to several stimuli at once, and as a result, multitasking actually leads to time lost while the brain determines which task to perform. Okay, so when your brain is trying to decide which task to perform more effectively, what you get is, assignments being pushed back that much more, that much more. You get yourself staying up later and later to complete your assignments. You get unfinished assignments. You get stressed out because you're tired and you're not getting as much sleep. That can lead to a lot of different effects. There was also a psychologist named David Meyer. He's from the University of Michigan. He actually found that multitasking contributes to the release of stress hormones and adrenaline, which can actually cause long-term health problems and short-term memory loss. So multitasking is not just something that can actually affect your schoolwork. This is something that can affect your overall health as well, and it's something that we as students should definitely begin to start to turn from. Now, in order to give yourself an opportunity to avoid the unnecessary stress and health problems that do come along with multitasking, and to put yourself in a better position to complete better quality work, you really only need to do one thing, and that is monotasking. Monotasking, as I said earlier, is just the simple process of completing one task at a time, or working on one task at a time. How I normally recommend applying monotasking is to organize your assignments and your schoolwork by how long you feel like they'll take to complete, along with the difficulty of those particular assignments, and then schedule yourself times to actually do those assignments. actually, set aside time blocks, whether it be an hour here, an hour there, 30 minutes here, 2 hours here, for you to actually do those assignments, and then put yourself in a place to where you're not going to have access to a TV. You're not going to be bothered by friends, or if you have a babysitter, or somebody to watch your children, so you're not going to be bothered by your children. Put yourself in an environment where you can concentrate. Maybe turn your phone off, or maybe just turn it on silent, and maybe put it in a backpack or something like that, so that's not a distraction. Put yourself in an environment where you're going to be able to solely concentrate on that one subject, and then go ahead and give it your full attention and complete it. That actually, when doing that, that actually has shown in different studies to be much more effective than multitasking. There is a study that was done that's actually found in the Research in Higher Education journal. The actual article itself is called "The Effect of Multitasking on the Grade Performance of Business Students." Excuse me. There were 3 different students: Yvonne Ellis, Bobby Daniels, and Andres Juregu. They're all from Columbus State University. Bobby Daniels is actually from Jackson State University. They actually conducted a study. They took 62 undergrad business students that were studying accounting, and during a lecture, they allowed half the class to use their cell phones and text, while the other class did not, and they actually found that the majority of the students that used their cell phone, actually, they took a quiz. Excuse me. They actually took a quiz at the end of that class on what was taught during that particular lecture, and they showed that the students that were allowed to use their cell phones actually scored much, much lower on the quiz, significantly lower than the students that did not, because they were allowed to actually focus and hone in on what was being taught during the class. So monotasking is definitely going to be much more beneficial to you, not only for schoolwork reasons, but also for your overall health as well. So if you just so we went over the need, which is going to be to have better schoolwork and for your overall better health. We went over what monotasking is and how you can apply it. And we also went over some of the benefits, which obviously is going to be creating better schoolwork. So as long as you utilize all 3 of those things and apply that to your schoolwork going forward, I have no doubt that all of you are going to be able to do much better in your studies. Thank you.